From the outside, Meghan Markle's journey has always looked like a perfect fairy tale. A talented actress rises through Hollywood, meets a prince, becomes a duchess, and builds a modern royal legacy. But behind the polished photos and controlled interviews, some people, especially those who knew her long before fame, believe there are unanswered questions quietly embedded in her story. One of the first to raise those concerns was Meghan's half-sister, Samantha Markle. For years, Samantha insisted that some parts of Meghan's public narrative felt inconsistent. Many dismissed her as jealous or attention-seeking, but Samantha always said she wasn't trying to tear anyone down. She simply believed the truth should match the timeline. Later, their father, Thomas Markle, also expressed confusion about certain public details. He has spoken with sadness, saying he loves both his daughters, but doesn't understand why some things are being told differently than he remembers. And that opened the door to a much larger mystery that curious minds online would begin to investigate piece by piece. One of the biggest questions revolves around Meghan's age. Her official birth date is widely reported as August 4th, 1981. It appears in royal biographies, media profiles, and nearly every source you can find. But as Meghan's popularity grew, a few older pieces of media resurfaced, and some of those details didn't seem to match. The most famous example is a page from a 1997 issue of 17 magazine. This magazine was printed long before Meghan entered the spotlight, and on that page, her age was listed as 21. If accurate, that would place her birth year around 1975 or 1976, about 6 years earlier than the official date so well established today. It could be a simple editorial mistake. Publications do mislabel ages sometimes, especially with aspiring actors who might be adjusting their stage age to get more roles. But for people already questioning the timeline, this old magazine became one of the most discussed clues. Because if she were older than publicly stated, it would shift the context of many life moments. When she finished school, how old she was when she entered Hollywood, and how she was positioned as a younger, rising star. Age also becomes especially important when the royal pregnancies enter the picture. When Meghan and Harry announced they were expecting their first child, Archie, in 2018, Meghan was celebrated as a glowing mom-to-be at 37 years old. That alone places her in what doctors call advanced maternal age, which typically means more checkups and careful monitoring. But online theorists argue that if she were actually in her early 40s, that medical picture changes significantly. Higher-risk pregnancies involve different protocols, different hospital procedures, and often longer recovery periods. This is where some people began comparing medical reality with the story described in Prince Harry's memoir, Spare. Harry painted a calm and rapid birth experience, one that sounded far smoother than what most high-risk pregnancies allow. Critics claim the timeline seemed too fast, from labor to recovery to leaving the hospital, almost unbelievably fast according to what many mothers have experienced themselves. Supporters counter that every pregnancy is different, and the royals had access to the best medical care in the world. But the internet rarely settles for simple answers. Instead, these details became fuel for even deeper curiosity. None of this proves wrongdoing. None of it confirms a larger deception. These are simply scattered inconsistencies that the public is now noticing because the fairy tale spotlight shines so brightly. And whether those inconsistencies mean anything at all continues to be debated. One version of Meghan's story remains exactly as the world has been told. Born in 1981, a hard-working millennial actress who fell in love with the prince and stepped boldly into history. The other version, discussed mainly online, suggests she may have rewritten small parts of her early timeline to better fit the industry she was trying to break into, and later, the royal image she was expected to maintain. Why would anyone adjust something like that? Some believe it would be about opportunity. Others believe it would be about pressure. Or maybe this entire mystery exists only because a few old documents don't match perfectly, and people love a puzzle when royalty is involved. After all, Meghan and Harry have constantly battled against intrusive media and conspiracy theories. Many of their supporters see these as just another attempt to discredit a woman who challenged royal tradition. Yet, the questions keep circulating. Who gets to decide what the real version of someone's story is? What happens when two narratives collide, one written in ink for the world to see, and another whispered from family memories and forgotten archives? And if small details like ages and timelines spark so much debate, what does that say about the larger expectations placed on public figures, especially those who marry into monarchy? Today, Meghan and Harry continue building their careers far from palace walls. New projects, new appearances, and new headlines keep them firmly in the global conversation. But mysteries, real or imagined, have a way of lingering. They stick in the places where certainty fades and curiosity begins. And that's where the story currently lives. Is it a case of misunderstood memories, a harmless press error, or a narrative polished a little too perfectly for the spotlight? The truth may already be known by those closest to Meghan, or perhaps it's still waiting to be revealed. For now, this remains one of the most watched celebrity mysteries of our time, and it isn't finished yet.